Welcome, Saints Nation, back to the Saints Gaming CA Twitch channel. Of course, your home for the St. Clair Saints varsity esports squad. And tonight, or actually this afternoon, for once, it's not tonight again. Gotta get used to that. But we have ourselves a cLoL Collegiate League of Legends action once again. This time it's going to be, of course, our Saints up against University of Toronto, Mississauga. My name is Dan Banner, also known as Mr. Danners. Alongside me today for the first time here on the Saints casting desk, we have Matt Avery. How you doing, Matt?
I'm great. I'm great to be here. It's glad to be here. It's gonna be an exciting series.
It's definitely going to be exciting, looking like a tough one. However, when we were
hmm
peeking at this University of Toronto squad, I don't know what it is about Toronto, but it always feels like every single institution around that area is absolutely stacked. And this Mississauga squad is absolutely no different. Majority of them being either masters or grandmasters, and I think even one challenger at this
hmm
point here. We'll go through that roster in a little bit once the champion select starts, but with our Saints, of course, on paper, they're the underdogs in this situation. But of course, solo queue rank and competitive play, team play, two different things. And from what I understand, Matt, you are pretty heavy into the league scene at St. Clair as well, more for the club
hmm
side, though, correct? What do you do exactly there?
Yes. Yeah, I run the club LO team. We just finished our CSL season. Didn't go as planned, but happens. There's a lot of good teams out there, and I think a lot of them can transfer into these collegiate levels like cLoL and stuff, and they'll do really well.
Absolutely. Now, going into this match, of course, where I was mentioning that Saints are probably a little bit on the underdog side of things, what do they need to do to try and like give them the best shot at a bunch of these possible solo queue legends of sorts for this league team? Is there anything in the draft phase they can hang on to, or maybe a playstyle difference, or do you just go in guns blazing and hope for the best?
They came off two convincing wins, to be honest, in both cLoL last week and the minor that they're competing in now. And I think
Mhm.
those giving them that advanced could actually like help them in coming home with a 2-0 to even a 2-1 today.
Absolutely. Could even the last team that we did end up going down to another collegiate League of Legends action was it was York University, and it was a very
hmm
similar situation where the York squad, even though it kind of baited me at first, because similar to today, like it was a brand new season, so not everybody got their placement matches in. But now it's another team full of masters and full of grandmasters, and it was a 2-1 game. So you're definitely onto something in regards to them being able to pull like something off, even if it's a
hmm
worst case scenario where Toronto is absolutely insane. But of course, you never know until you actually hit the field, which it looks like it's going to be a couple moments here. Apparently, Frez's power went out, so we have ourselves a quick little reboot in that situation. But it's been an exciting season already right now for
hmm
the League of Legends squad. I'm used to only maybe casting them maybe once a week, if that's maybe on and off throughout the season. We're blessed this this semester so far. Every week's had like 2 to 3 games, and definitely looking forward to more as it does come up. In fact, very quickly, while we do await for the power situation to get figured out here for Frez, I do want to quickly run over exactly what is coming up in the very near future, because the action here today, it is just the start of our action, as we do have later on tonight at 8 o'clock our 6th Collegiate Championship Rainbow Six Siege action. It's week 4 of action there. Our Saints doing solid job, want to keep that going. Then tomorrow, of course, 5 p.m., Face It CSGO returns, and then more League of Legends action. We see it twice up in the next couple days. Monday at 8 o'clock for the Upsurge Minor League. Then on Wednesday for additional collegiate League of Legends action up against the University of Waterloo. But can't forget even more CSGO action as the NACE season gets started underway. And from what I understand here, Matt, you're not just strictly a fan of League of Legends. In fact, it sounds like you're going to be
hmm
joining me later on tonight for some action, eh?
Yeah, I will. I'm excited for the R6 game. The squad we got, they're looking pretty good coming in. Um, I think their score is 2-1 right now,
I believe
if
you're
I'm not
correct, yes.
mistaken. So looking pretty good. Can't wait for it.
Definitely a good start, and they're going to be pushing forward, I'm sure. Looks like Active Force had his power blink as well, but he has returned. But real quick, I do have, of course, the rosters for both sides in this situation. Going over our opponents, the University of Toronto, Mississauga. Looks like up in the top lane, we do have Eclipse, who's currently being shown as a Masters player. Then Marcel lands? I'm gonna butcher that one a few times here, but we'll just say Marcel for now. In the jungle, another Masters player. We do also have Brian in the mid lane, currently being shown unranked, but I don't want to get baited by that again. I'm going to assume benefit of the doubt that they're up high. We have Forever in the AD carry position, and then Explosion Act in support, if this lineup that we do see here is completely correct. And looking forward to seeing how they compete. For the side of the Saints, though, of course, your hometown crowd, it is going to be Cooper 3 up in the top lane. Of course, the rookie who's been absolutely killing it up there, whether it be as supportive tank or a playmaker. Then we have Active Force in the jungle. Frez, as long as the power doesn't get him, will be here in the mid lane here for us. We do, of course, then have our bot lane, Lazi and Miensfo. Once again from last semester, looking to keep on rolling through. And I feel like a lot of eyes are going to be on that bot lane once again of Lazi and Miensfo. Because personally, like, normally when I think of League, you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like a lot of the eyes, a lot of the like stardom of sorts tends to go towards the AD carry. But with Lazi and Miensfo, I feel like they just do so good so often that we just assume that they do good constantly, that we're always looking towards other lanes. But from the AD carry point of view, has there been any champions of sorts that have been like showing up way more often than others that you can shed some insight on that might make that bot lane battle a little interesting?
Well, recently, since the I guess meta has been shifting, a lot has been going down to that bot lane. You have the Drake, which is one of the bigger objectives now that have been coming to circulation. More prominent ADCs like Kaisa and even Misfortune now is popping up as a counter for Kaisa. These are two like big ADCs who are you gotta keep your eyes on, either pick or bans. Jin, he's still pretty good, but he's slowly beginning to fall out against certain ADCs because he doesn't have that mobility that they do. But overall, I think bot lane is definitely that bigger area you gotta keep your eye on because it could go anywhere.
Definitely makes sense, and we'll have to see, because I know Jin has been a pick that Lassie has been liking in the past, but as you can probably hear in the background, we got everybody back. We're going to hop into the draft phase here for game number 1, so we do have Camille and Olaf being the first ones taken off the board. Kubra not looking to get feisty up there. In fact, the Aurelia going as well. Nunu, because apparently Nunu is busted in Active Force's hands, from what I understand. And we did see it once during, I believe it was Upsurge. He really tore through the field there. Thresh, just an overall solid playmaking and safe support. And we did see from the OPGGs that both of the support players, the Explosion Act and their sub, both played Thresh a ton. So I'm going to take a quick jab at Explosion. And final ban, we'll see in a moment. Is there any sort of patterns going on here? Or do you see anything interesting in regards to the bands themselves?
Camille and Olaf, honestly two of the most biggest picker bands right now. Olaf being such a bruiser and honestly a havoc in the jungle to deal with. You just have to get him out there, and Camille just battling through mostly every pickup top lane. So pretty big. I'd say Kubra and Active Force both know how to play those champions pretty well. So I would say they're pretty good bands. Coming in with the Kaisa first pick, which is not a big surprise for Lazi.
Yeah, pretty standard from him anyway.
And it's followed up by the Udyr from Toronto Mississauga, which is a pretty good pick. It's becoming more relevant now just because of how fast and tanky he can become in the early game and late.
It's definitely a meta that Trick2G would be approving of, getting the Godeer back out here. Then Ezreal here for Forever, more than likely, unless Brian wants to pick that up in the mid lane. Not as common, I think, in the mid, but can definitely happen. And then one thing I want to note quickly over in the bans that Toronto Mississauga did, they took away the Leona, which is basically Mansfo's staple support in regards to roaming and playmaking. So he's going to be forced off of something different. An active force is going to be picking himself, the Sejuani, in this situation. We've seen him played a few times in past leagues. Big success. I think it's 1-1 across 2 different leagues. And then we got the Gator. We have Kubra going to be picking up the Renekton.
Yeah, one of his signature picks comes actually all the way back to his club level. Back a few months ago, it was one of his staple picks that he would carry games on, and followed that by the Gragas, which is becoming one of actually Renekton's bigger counters.
It just feels like anytime I pay a ton of attention to League of Legends, Gragas is always there, and it always frustrates me because I see him absolutely everywhere, but just makes so much sense. He's got so much damage, he's got utility, he's got even a little bit of mobility, a little bit of escaping, considering how big the fella is. But nonetheless, that could go support, that can go top, that can go mid. I've seen it jungle. Like, this Gragas doesn't really reveal a whole heck of a lot in terms of positioning, I feel like, for the Saints.
Yeah, it's definitely a bigger flex pick because you don't know really where it's going. Even with the Udyr pick, it could go either top or jungle, so
Right.
you're not giving that much away. And especially with the Alistar ban being given away by Toronto Mississauga, it's one of those counters to Gragas support, so they may be hovering it towards that support role.
Definitely be interesting. We still do have the support and the mid lane pick here for Saints to take care of. And then I'd, of course, try to analyze the side of Mississauga, but there is, just like we were saying, too much flex picking available here to really know until the actual champions are locked in. They pretty much, or Saints pretty much will, 9 times out of 10, I feel like, let Frez try to get the counter pick, with being the final pick of the entire pick and ban phase. And I'm also curious to see what Mansfo ends up going with here. Pantheon, something we've seen in the past from him, could be a possibility, but I've seen less and less of it as of late. And I don't know if there was a buff or nerf that may have pushed him one way or the other, but we'll have to see, as it's going to be the next pick coming up here for Toronto.
And it's going to be a set, which is another flex pick, but that one is definitely looking pretty tanky on the side of Toronto Mississauga for that Ezreal.
Gosh, so we just don't really know where any of this is going, and I can't complain, to say the least. Here we do see it's going to be Mansfo now onto the Braum. Just going to be playing more of the bodyguard role this time by.
Yeah, the Braum Kaisa was a pretty strong lane with the Braum's passive. I would say, and it's a pretty safe pick into this comp with the amount of poke that they're going to throw out with Ezreal, followed up by Anivia, which is a very, very strong mid laner currently, and especially in the hands of Frez. It's going to be a very targeted lane.
So with the bird in play, what is the final pick going to be? The Yone is likely going to go battle Frez in the mid lane. So as much as Frez tried to get the counter pick, he may very well be the one getting countered in this situation. Of course, Anivia does have some decent burst damage, but it does kind of require a little bit of setup.
Yeah, with the Yone pick, you're picking a very more mobile champion into a very immobile champion like Anivia, so definitely going to be a lot of focus around that mid lane to try and get Frez ahead and keep him relevant in this game.
And from what I understand here, it looks like we did have already a little bit of technical difficulties again, this time over on Lazi's side of things. So as we hop into the game, it might be just the briefest of moments before we actually get underway. But I gotta say, this draft here for University of Toronto Mississauga, like, it was crafty, to be honest. It kept you guessing the entire way. We throw it back to us here for just a little bit. But the fact that you can never truly get a proper counter pick because you just never knew where anything was actually going was extremely brutal. Like even when like they had the Udyr, they had the Gragas, the Ezreal. Okay, you know where Ezreal's probably going, and they picked Set. That was still absolutely no answer because of course
Mhm.
he goes everywhere too. And then it just set up Brian here, and I'm gonna be paying attention to that mid lane probably pretty frequently here as this matchup happens because. Um, like Frez obviously does his best once he's in a position to like farm up, get to the late game, and not have to worry about really having a bad matchup in the early game. But I'm not sure necessarily specifically how Yone and Anivia goes, but I can imagine it still being rather irritating for the Anivia. Am I
Mhm.
wrong in that situation, or
Yeah, I'd say the Nivea most likely is going to have a hard time in this lane getting excessive amount of poke in. At least pre six, the Nivea is going to probably have a rougher time, especially with an Udyr around just about to run you down if you go anywhere past that mid lane portion. But I definitely would say this Ione pick is definitely one they could save for last, and it's definitely going to impact the game either way.
sure? Now I'm curious to see what. And I'm always going to butcher this name, Marcelasny. Marcelasny, we'll go with that. Marcelasny with that Udyr. Ghost or Flash or both? Or no, you're a jungler. You're not taking both. So which one are you taking, Ghost or Flash?
I would say, it's a 50-50. Could go Ghost or Flash. I'd say he's probably gonna take that Flash with a phase rush, so he can just hit the bear slap and then instant death for whoever he hits. And he
Yeah,
just speeds out of there.
yeah, because of course Udyr has a ton. Like he gets a decent movement speed buff, but he's not necessarily the greatest still at gap closing. So
Mhm.
like I've been seeing a little bit of a mix where some people go for like a really beefy tanky Udyr, just hit Ghost, run through the entire team, and just try to slap the AD carry on the head, give him a little boop. But then of course the pick option, the super aggressive option, I feel like is that Flash, and we'll have to see how
Mhm.
that one ends up going. Meanwhile, I want to
Yeah.
also do a quick look at the rest of our lane matchups here. So we do have, we'll take a look at the bot lane first, actually. So Lazzie's Kaisa and Miensfo's Braum up against Forever's Ezreal and Explosion Axe Set. So are we just farming this one out, or are we going to see some aggression coming out of what I would think would be University of Toronto Mississauga?
I'd say it's a pretty even lane, to be honest. You have aggression on both sides. I would say in the long run, it would most likely go to Ezreal Set just from the durability they have in lane. Ezreal being able to poke so far back and Set just tanking everything. I mean, Braum can do the same thing with his shield, but it's just once you have that Kaisa pinned down, you really can't do much with it.
It definitely makes sense. I would expect to see then Lassie looking to make this a little bit of a slower game, try to scale up and then blow somebody out of the water after the fact. But can you make it there in time? I feel like that's across multiple of the Saints Varsity titles. It feels like they play these long games or like look for the late game and they just kind of get stuffed out just beforehand. So we'll have to see
Hmm.
if the League squad can play it safe enough or if U Toronto will make that early game work for them. Now, up in the top lane, of course, it's going to be Cooper 3's Renekton versus. Why did I butcher the name? Where did he go? It's the Gragas from Red Eclipse. So Renekton versus Gragas. What happens here? Considering they're both melee, but Gragas can kind of whip barrels out.
Yeah, I would say in the early games, it would most likely go to the Renekton, and it's looking with the grass take from Red Eclipse. It's looking like he's going for that tank Udyr or Gragas. So he's definitely going for more of a team fight build with that grasp. So he's not going to be exploding the Renekton level 3 and stuff, but he's definitely going to be able to sustain in that lane and survive the Renekton onslaught that he's going to throw out.
Now, with the help of the Odir, though, if he is able to, if Arcelesny there is able to stun him up with his own damage, of course, because Udir can pack a decent punch too. You think that Gator just blows up, or is it a lane he might
Yeah,
want to avoid?
I would say Renekton early game is very, very squishy. If when he doesn't have his Fury stacked up, he's definitely going to have a pretty hard time. I'd say Udyr most likely gank is going to be that top focus. To be honest,
Okay.
it's if Renekton likes to push up and get leads so he can go around the map and secure things with his jungler. But if the Udyr is pressuring him off of that roam and keeping him under tower, the Renekton almost becomes useless.
Of course, Renekton, not exactly the champion that you want to be behind on, because, yeah, like, you're either going even or, like, you're relatively strong and you're just an absolutely fearsome gator. Otherwise, it just feels like you are on the seafood menu for that day. But we're in the game, but of course, Lassie did have himself a bit of a computer issue, so we're already under pause in this situation. A couple more moments, it sounds like, before we finally get underway. Apparently, shout out to Essex Power today, because it's just been power outages from multiple players right now on the same squad. Hopefully, that stables up a little bit moving forward here. But before we do actually hop into the game, I do want to give, of course, a quick shout out to the sponsors that do make the St. Clair Saints esports team possible, without, of course, being St. Clair College, Tim Hortons, the St. Clair SRC, and St. Clair College Alumni Association, Zeckelman School of Business and Information Technology, and PC Outlet. Of course, would not be able to do it without all of you guys and all your support. And speaking of support, thank you to everybody who's also here in the chat, already tuning into the matchup. I know you're just as eager as I to finally get into the game, but if you're here for your classmates, whether it's your school's team or family member or some other person you know, thank you for supporting their esports endeavors here and tuning in to their match. Absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a thrill of a match. And it's looking like in chat they're about to get ready up for game 1.
Game 1 right around the corner. Let's double check here. Yeah, they're going back and forth. A couple of them still figuring things out, but not too much longer here. One thing that we noticed in past cLoL matches, especially week 1, it was either week 1 or is in a different collegiate leagues match, Wood versus York, but we did see it get really, really brutal. Level 1. What do you think is going to happen? Does any team want to make the invade in this situation? Or are we going to hop into the game and see ourselves a line of scrimmage?
You know, I think, if anything, the side of Toronto Mississauga has the best chance of invading here with the Gragas body slam and the set pull. And even Udyr is stunned, you get hit by any of those, you're most likely just going to die, even if you burn a flash or anything. But it looks like everyone's just throwing a 5-point up, so looking like a boring little start for both sides, but it's going to be definitely going to get a little action-packed later on.
Yeah, boring is safe, safe is good for the most part, especially when your squad may not necessarily be that strong in this early game. Let's see, trying to take a look. We have Udyr over on the blue side of things. Activeforce still looking to make his choice, possibly going towards the blue as well. But you're saying before that a right Eclipse is probably going to get some help nice and quick here from Arcelesny up with that Udyr, right? Trying to give Kubra a hard time.
Yeah, and this is actually really good. I'm scouting out that ward on the Pixel Brush and River there. That's actually going to give Renekton that quick level actually off of that first wave. So he's going to have a XP lead. And Activeforce actually going straight down to his red. So it's looking like a both bot side start, and they're going to rotate top to meet for that Scuttle at 315.
Fair enough. And then I'm sure if top lane is going to be what we're looking at, well, be on a bit of a help there from Activeforce to make sure things don't get too crazy. We've seen in past matches, Activeforce, he may not necessarily be the ones getting the kills, but to be honest, as the jungler, that's not always a bad thing. Setting up all of his lanes, multiple double-digit assist matches, and even a couple of them getting close to double-digit kills in the past matches, but we'll have to see as the beefy Sejuani, where does he want to go? As you were saying there, the quick level 2 to Kubra, but at the same time, Red Eclipse pretty much gets it right back, so they're able to tit for tat up on the top lane.
Yeah, it's the CS lead's going to Kubra up there, but he's losing the trades and damage at least with the Gragas passive healing him back up over time, and just pure damage from the E into auto attack.
Now, this is where things are about to get interesting, I do believe. We do see Marcelesne there on the Udyr already up by, I think that's the Krugs all the way up top. And meanwhile, Actiforce still so far away, just kind of making it to his blue buff right here, right now. Just this clear speed from Udyr is just absolutely insane. So we actually do see Cooper taking a trip to the river, maybe expecting something aggressive to go down that way, or just going for that crab.
Yeah, it looks like he shoved in his wave early, which is looking like Grog is trying to set up a freeze up there, but they're going to get the top crab here, but Udyr's looking mid lane here with that go. Prez with a good Q here, but he's looking like he has to burn his flash like he just did, and it's going to be the egg popped here for Prez. Pretty good gank from the Udyr here, catching him out, pushed up.
Yeah, small victories for the fact that you... Oh, hang on, we could have a party.
Udyr here from bot lane roam. That's going to be first blood going to Lazi.
Okay, that's quite the twist. We did not expect to see so many players all the way up in this midsection. I don't think Marcelesne had any clue, and we're going to try and get both of these crabs here for St. Clair. Try to give Actiforce the quick little boost in this matchup, as the first dragon is just going to be right around the corner. Probably a little bit too early to try and focus that down, but we'll be there soon. But nice little start. Of course, first blood going to the player you probably wanted to go to. Lazi, of course, boost that 80 carry, get their game underway, give him the items as quick as possible. So as long as you can keep him safe, all will be well. Now Brian is going to get flashed on. Nice shot there from Actiforce. One more shot. Can they tank it? They're not going to quite do it. Miansvo being the best bodyguard NA, just making sure that Actiforce can walk in, walk out just fine. But Brian barely going to get out with his life in this situation. And then nice little trade here again.
Yeah, it's looking, that's the Gragas power right there, just taking out. Oh, it looks like they're continuing the dive on mid lane here against Brian, but Miansvo may have bit off more than he can chew with this. Ooh. That's going to be a that's going to be a 3 for, in the top lane 1v1 as well.
They might not be done here. They're chasing them down.
I think doesn't look like the Udyr can catch up, but that's going to be really bad for St. Clair here with the Renekton dying 1v1 up top lane and them biting more than they can chew in the mid lane and that dive.
Yeah, the fact that Marcel was already right back in that section, able to assist Brian, really made it so that when Miansvo dove in, it was just a one-way street. You're not returning from that one. You're toast. And then you were also mentioning up in the top lane, Kubra seems like he was losing those trades, and finally he lost one for good, as it's going to be Red Eclipse getting the solo kill onto him up there. And then you just traded 2 kills over to Brian after an over-aggressive dive. This might be a turning point here already here early in this game, as we do see Marcelesne up here again with Red Eclipse. Kubra does not have a flash. Could be absolutely toast here. Bear slap, take him down. Phoenix stands, give him the burn, but Kubra might be able to slice and dice his way out of there, but he's not getting out scot-free. Half of his health already gone.
Yeah, that's going to be Cooper 3 not respecting the Udyr and River there. He may have not known what he was coming, but with the positioning from Gragas, it looked like he was getting ready for it. But yeah, it's going to be half his health bar gone. Most Cryo lost in lane now. Just going to have a rough lane overall.
And this is brutal here in the mid lane too. Now that Brian has both of those kills, he's going to be an absolute fiend in terms of damage output. Actiforce trying to make his way down bot and make a play, however, Explosion Act and Forever not going to take really any damage from that situation and just keep things safe. So now majority of the lanes, maybe exception of the bot lane, feeling the hurt right now for St. Clair.
Yeah, it's going to be Brian going in 1v1 on Prez, and it's going to be actually a pretty even trade. Prez is going to have to back and lose almost a wave of CS now.
That one definitely hurts. Probably either doesn't have passive or doesn't want to pop it just yet. Actiforce returning here. Teleport coming in. There's going to be a 4-on-3 battle here. Marcel's going to try and run away with a nice ulti coming over here from Actiforce. Big damage onto the Set and the Udyr. Can they actually finish it off, though? Somehow, they just wanted to pass that over to Lazi, and by doing so, they didn't get anything. And with the teleports being burned, it just gave Red Eclipse the go-ahead to get as aggressive as he wanted onto Kubra. And it's going to put our poor Gator down 0-2 in this situation. He's not going to be very tanky. He's losing in CS now. This one's looking rough for Kubra.
Yeah, and Kubra actually sacrificing his life there to stop that TP from bot lane. The Gragas was looking for a TP and push there, but
that makes sense then.
Yeah, he sacrificed his life to stop the TP, but what an unfortunate fight down bot lane. 3 people getting away almost 1 HP. That heal from Forever actually doing Toronto Mississauga some good work.
And that was so
with
close.
them being 1 HP, it got St. Clair the first strike of the game, being an Ocean.
Like, I understand trying to pass over the kills to the AD carry, but sometimes when it's just too close, you just have to take it. And unfortunately there, instead of having gold onto maybe your support or something, now nobody gets gold, and it's just going to be the bot lane basically going neutral, and then top lane having more and more of a hard time, as we see Shelly on the menu here for Brian and Marcel.
And the Rift Herald just ceding to University of Toronto Mississauga. Doesn't seem like St. Clair wanted to contest it at all. With Frez coming back from base and Active Force just clearing his jungle. So it's going to be an uncontested 8-minute Rift Herald.
Yeah, it didn't look like there's any vision or anything on that either, so like Saints wouldn't have been able to quite respond as they may have wanted to. But where does Shelly go play? Do you just force the issue here with Frez in the mid lane? Just try to burst down that tower, so maybe the Yone or Brian in this situation could just go roaming everywhere? Or do you just hang on to that for a little while?
You know, I think with Frez TPing bot lane action, giving Yone some time mid lane, I think those 2 tower plates that he lost there may actually be really bad for him, because he's about 2 autos away from just losing the tower to Rift Herald. So Udyr looking actually come from behind the tower and not possibly drop it. So I think he's just scouting for wolves.
Yeah, he's probably going to make another trip up here with Red Eclipse. Probably going to try and dive onto Kubra. Going to be in for a world of hurt. Brian looks like he's making his way up too, so they might not just try to 1 or 2v1 this. But that being said, enough damage. You're even going to be able to move Kubra away. The nice last second heal actually from his abilities, keeping him in this game. But Brian is going to then come up a little bit delayed, but he's going to find the kill and get out with just a smidgen of health.
Yeah, it's a scuffed dive up from University of Toronto Mississauga. Them knocking Kubra was pretty good, but he had almost full stacks on his rage, so he just healed back everything with 1 Q. I mean, it's gonna look like top tower is going down here to the Herald.
I mean, it did kind of look a little scuffed, but at the same time, you just pass over the 3rd kill over to Brian's Yone. So would I call that calculated? Pass it over to the carry?
Yeah, definitely scuffed, but in the end it worked out. And it's looking like Active Force is going hard down bot lane, but pushing them off the tier 1 tower and gonna get some extra plates for Lazi.
Yeah, the saving grace here in this matchup so far is the St. Clair bot lane, and while they only have the 1 kill onto Lazi from that mid engage earlier, as you do see another one actually where Frez is possibly going to be in for a little bit of a world of hurt. And Brian actually basically trading this even after staying in that blizzard way too long. Frez is going to get aggressive. He very well might. Oh, geez, that's going to just go wide. No. And hello, here comes the bear. Boop on the head. But actually, Active Force going to catch Brian, maybe getting a little bit overzealous. And now we do see, can they DPS the egg down? I don't think they're going to be able to. Frez now actually has a bit of mana in this situation. But now Active Force could be in for a world of hurt. Red Eclipse and Explosion Act, both here ready to play. But after the flash, Active Force able to get away.
Yeah, it's a really good play by St. Clair here to catch Brian out of position and finish him off and almost turn it on to Marcel, but him having his Explosion Act and Red Eclipse nearby wasn't able to happen. In the end, burning Active Force's flash and getting away with a 1-for-0.
Yeah, so definitely take that there, a little extra gold into the pocket of Active Force as well. The fact that Brian was maybe just a little too kill hungry. Going to at least get the Saints a little bit back into this game. Just under 2K gold lead right now for the side of University of Toronto Mississauga, but we've definitely seen crazier comebacks. This is absolutely like nothing in the long scheme of things, but still enough to kind of worry about as we do see Brian making an appearance alongside Red Eclipse. Unfortunately, there is no ability to fly on that birdie to get out of dodge, and now Frez is going to go down for free right as Dragon's about to show up.
Yeah, that's just University of Toronto Mississauga punishing that Anivia for being a bit too far up, I guess. They're pushing down towards their top side to get pressure, and they just kind of lost it, but
This could
she
get
does have
messy.
TP. It looks like they're trying to solve for the Anivia spawn, but I think they're just going to actually kill Explosion Act.
If they could keep
Take it away
Lassie,
like-
it could be close. AD carry battle in the side there, and actually that went over to Active Force. He did manage to steal the dragon. Saints got themselves a double kill. Granted, at the same time, we did also lose Mian's foe, but at the same time, Lassie's still in this. Frez has returned. Stun right and target onto Brian. Lassie might be able to even assist here on one of the kills. If he doesn't get himself caught, he's going to be getting taken down, though. Nice little flash there from Red Eclipse to at least get the one kill. This is awkward, however, though. Frez wants to hit Forever, but Forever just has so much mobility. It's going to be a little bit difficult. And where does Frez use his cooldowns in this situation? Very awkward. And Forever going to turn this around. What looked like was going to be a fantastic battle for Saints after it got stalled out a little bit. Unfortunately, the only real positive is the fact that Dragons went over to St. Clair, but everything else went pretty much neutral.
Yeah, it was looking pretty rough for St. Clair at the start, but it turned into their favor, and especially with Active Force hitting that smite against Studier was pretty big, because that actually turned them into a 2-0 over University of Toronto Mississauga.
And I wonder if that's been something he's been working about. It's one of the things that I kind of did cuss out Active Force a little bit. Like, not completely cuss out, but it's one of the things that I've noticed that did need some practice is the fact that time and time again he was losing smite fights even when he had the level advantage. But this time, it was an extremely tense situation, but yet he was still able to outsmite Marcel Lesney and was able to take care of it and get Saints their second dragon of the game. But now Frez is in trouble once again. How many times am I going to see him walk through that corridor and get himself killed for free? Death number 3, and watch out. That Yone is going to be packing a hell of a punch this game.
Man, that's just a free buff transfer for Yone there. Frez went over against blue, got caught on the deep ward they placed earlier, and just dies for it. I mean, there's not much you can do there. They're just littering this blue jungle up with wards. And with that control, they're just getting another Rift Herald.
Yeah, Rift Herald going to go in their favor. Kubra is just trying his best to get himself farmed back up into this game, but you can really tell the fact that Red Eclipse right now, 4 kills, no deaths, 5 assists. He's got so much in the bank that wherever he goes, he's tanky, but also packs a gigantic punch. Can Brian line it up for him as we do see him charging into the mid lane? Frez actually using the Blizzard to at least get Red Eclipse away from the fight, forcing them to retreat in this situation. So what could have been deadly is going to be at least negated for the time being.
Yeah, and that Blizzard Storm there actually saved St. Clair from getting caught out in that mid lane with the Gragas flank. So good timing for Frez to show up there, or it would have turned into a bloodbath possibly.
Absolutely. Oh, nice little wall there from Frez as well. Again, someone on the side of Toronto wanted to dive in, but it gets completely shut down. Frez doing his best to at least keep the area controlled as best as possible. Pick the fights that his team wants, as long as he's not getting himself jumped on by himself. But when he's with the group, all looks pretty good.
Yeah, maybe he may be 0-3 with some levels down. Make that... Oh, he has the egg. Almost 0-4, but...
Hello, Shelly.
That's going to be...
Bye-bye, Frez.
Yeah, that's going to be Frez falling down for the 4th time. Possibly Active Force getting caught out here.
And this is rough. Okay, that barrel is not going to find its mark in the slightest. This is actually could be a feeding frenzy here for Lassie if he can get himself lined up. Shutdown gold, unfortunately. I think that was the ignite from Yansfo going to take it away from Lassie. So that support is going to be hella tanky, but that's basically it. Can they get the stun on the Forever? He does have one more blink available if necessary, I think, unless he just used it. But get under tower just in time. And one of the things from the past couple fights, I never really did mention, the big winner in that dragon fight that happened a little while ago was Forever. Because he went from being, I think, basically zeros across the board, maybe 1 kill. But that dragon fight had him living long enough to get 4-0. He was basically getting shut down in lane by Lassie and Miansfo. But now, 4 kills, back in the game, can pack so much of a punch. And then this is always the scary part when I see multiple threats who can deal a ton of damage, it gets a little bit difficult, to say the least. And I'm a little bit worried here for St. Clair, as it feels like all of the eggs are in the basket of Lazi.
Yeah, this Ezreal's actually just been silently gaining these leads. He may be down CS, but those 4 kills is definitely keeping him, if not above, and even with Lazi. But this is looking like St. Clair is wanting to contest this 3rd drag to get that soul point, trying to keep up. That's going to be Frez getting hit. But they're going to catch the Gragas out of position here, catching him. The barrel cast going down. Gragas is just losing his HP, but the E slams out. That's going to be a scrappy fight between the two, but University of Mississauga is wanting to go back in now. Just stalling out the abilities. That's going to be the Udyr catching more than he can do. This is just a bloodbath going between the two teams, trading even. That's going to be Lazi fending off Brian. And in the end, it's going to be a 3-for-1 in the favor of University of maybe Lazi finds a second one here. He's going to get the shutdown. It's going to be a trade between the two.
We take those, I guess.
Yeah,
bounty.
Yeah, we do take those. And in the end, they lose the drag, but they come out with in the end, a 4-for-2.
Yeah, small victories, definitely take those. Lazi getting the shutdown gold will boost him a little bit further. And then Frez is going for the Hail Mary to absolutely nothing. Actually, no, Cooper is actually there as well. And
it's just going to be a Gator. Dead Gator.
I feel like that's the kind of play I see my top laners do in my promos. But it's definitely a feel bad moment. They went for it. They wanted to get that 3rd dragon, which, to be honest, if that works, you're in such a solid position in regards to dragons being able to go to the soul point next time by. But it was definitely a like 1 out of 10 tries that works kind of play, and I appreciate the risk, but that was rough.
I think, it definitely was. It was a valiant effort, but I think they may have just been a bit more greedy than they intended to be with that. Not wanting to give over that 3rd drag of the game, and especially with it being a Mountain Soul against a already tanky Gragas, who's dealing massive amounts of damage. So.
And then Red Eclipse was such a critical player in that last fight that we saw in mid. He went for the flash body slam, and I believe he knocked up 4 members of St. Clair, including Lazi, to the point where multiple members went down. Lazi wasn't able to shoot. He got low, but he didn't go down until that battle with Forever after the fact. But that single body slam turned that fight so bad.
Yeah, it was definitely a very drawn-out and bloody fight in that mid lane there with the 4-man Gragasy into, I believe it was a Yone ulti and a Braum ulti, and it just, nobody could really get on each other, and it just ended up going in favor of University of Mississauga. And they now hold a almost 6k lead over St. Clair. And they actually may be positioning for this Baron. St. Clair have no idea this Baron's actually going down. They have no idea. It's just complete darkness for Active Force is going to scout it out by walking in, but I think he may just die for it.
Yeah, Frez is backed in this situation, so no matter what, even if they had everybody, this is going to be an underhanded fight. Brian going to get out of dodge. Lazi actually, can they get the stun? Gets the shutdown. That's a huge shutdown to go over to Lazi, and in fact, the Baron has to be taken off the plate somehow, even though that was like a 3v5. They stopped this. Saints might be thinking about turning this. Say it again?
Yeah, they killed the mid laner. They just can turn onto this really easily. And they burned most of their ultis off of that onto Mianspo there, and didn't really do that much damage. He only down to half HP, and they're just shredding this. St. Clair's looking to turn back onto this. The Gragas is the target here. Gragas goes down, sets in the back line, causing havoc, but he just goes down too. It's a 2-for-0. St. Clair just goes right back onto the Baron.
Okay, one thing to keep track of though, Marcelesny is still there. The Udyr ready to go, smite in hand. Got to see if he does go for the challenge. Can Active Force get this?
They do have full vision of it.
Kubra
go in on it.
Oh,
going down. He goes in on it.
Oh my goodness! What a steal!
Saga. What a steal!
Oh, man! I was just giving props to Active Force for earlier in the They getting that dragon steal, but a huge, huge steal there from Arcelesny. And they're going to be able to keep this going. Why are you checking the bush again? Chasing it down forever. Keep on going. You could hit his shield and still take him down. Actiforce forced to use his ultimates to try and get out a dodge, but he's going up against what would be 3 if they keep on pushing on here. Actiforce, this boar is not long for this world. Chop, chop, see you later. Give it over to the big man. And it's going to be Red Eclipse getting another one. It was such a good fight, but Saints overstayed their welcome.
Yeah, it was such a good play by St. Clair to take 2 out on an overextension from Toronto Mississauga, but the Udyr just coming in and smiting it away at 200 HP, just causing a problem. And that Ezreal actually almost takes down Frez, but in the process doesn't get the auto attack off.
There is so much damage on this Toronto squad. If you don't get a pick on somebody as St. Clair, I think you just straight up lose in this situation. I don't think you can actually 5v5 this anymore unless you can somehow like find the absolute like Hail Mary Sejuani ult to freeze everybody into position, or you get Frez to wall somebody off and stun them. Otherwise, if you're fighting like heads up, it's going over, I think, to Toronto Mississauga every time.
Yeah, it's definitely not a game St. Clair cannot win. They can definitely come back from this. They're trading pretty evenly in these fights, but just these objectives and fights just end up going in favor of University of Toronto Mississauga just from these overextensions that they have. And they look to be actually not going to concede this drag. They're going to get control in the river. Brian may get caught out here, but the Q from Miansvo going wide.
They needed that to get this started, because now we're going to have ourselves a straight-on 5v5. This is going to be rough. You let Brian go in alone. This is going to be scary. Red Eclipse, of course, tanky. He could dive in and be A-okay in this situation. Lazy on side of St. Clair, not getting baited at this moment, waiting for his spot. The True Shot Barrage tears through majority of the St. Clair squad, and we have ourselves a battle. Lazy staying back in the background, but Explosion Act dives on in, and it's going to get messy right now. The Gator goes down, Cooper's taken off the board, but it's going to be at least traded 1-for-1. Frez hanging on for dear life. Brian, switch of target, takes down Lazy with the blink of an eye, a slice of a blade. We're going to have ourselves probably a prolonged A-stack. Dragon going to go over to the side of Toronto Mississauga as well. There goes the birdie, but actually Octaforce barely going to hang on for dear life. But yeah, another solid team fight. Again, just Brian has so much damage. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it looked like it was going to go in the favor of St. Clair there, but it ended up being too much for St. Clair to handle. Brian coming in afterwards with that ulti on the Lazy and Frez, catching them out. It's going to be Actiforce, maybe actually catching 2 here. 1v2, the healing from Gragas passive catching him. But actually, it's going to be a takedown and make that 2.
Okay.
Actiforce getting a double kill.
Okay, sometimes you do that, and sometimes it works. I don't usually think of Sejuani in regards to damage, but slow and steady, shot after shot, able to take the 2 of them down, including a shutdown. So at least in this situation for St. Clair, Actiforce should be a very strong like frontliner in regards to like diving in and maybe trying to make Forever's life a little bit of a living hell, but you still have to deal with Brian and his ability to just blink around all over the place, it feels like. So can Actiforce find the spot to get that ulti that we need to turn a fight?
Yeah, the fight going in his favor with that Sunfire Cape and Thornmail just not being able to do much damage to him. Definitely tank Gragas isn't that person who's gonna burst down a Sejuani. Well, you do look in the mid lane, there is a pretty big gap now with Brian almost having over 100 CS on Frez, just not being able to complete. I think he just completed his first item with boots, so definitely a rough game for Frez, but he's dealing a lot of damage each team fight still, being so far behind.
Yeah, he may not necessarily have the kills. Sure, he has a couple assists under his belt, but also being able to just control the battlefield, have that wall, have that blizzard, and then in theory, if this game goes on long enough, and they just keep letting Frez just keep clearing these waves, he will naturally start farming up, because trying to push into an Anivia is actually like rather difficult at times. But I'll have to see Red Eclipse. Oh, he was thinking about getting aggressive. But no, as time goes on, as long as Frizz doesn't get caught out, which it looks like that very well might be the case, Active Force might be forced to use an ult to keep him alive. Not going to be the case, going to try and hang on to it. But now, in a really rough position, slam down, taking him in the middle of his team. It's going to take so many members to kill off Active Force, but he's going to go down for free. And Baron is right around the corner. Solid plays here once again from Toronto Mississauga. And possibly, if they can find these 2 kills here onto Miensfo and Lazi, as we do see Miensfo get sent right into the middle of the team. Lazi having a hard time even getting through Red Eclipse in this situation. Miensfo forced to burn the Glacial Fissure to try and keep himself alive. Lazi gets the 1, but still. Okay, you get the support. Lazi's still alive.
Actually, may catch the Ezreal here if he can goes on it, but looks like they're just going to take the 1-for-1 there.
Lazi can't defend this himself. Kubra is here. He's looking to try and go in. If he can keep Lazi safe, that's okay, but you can see Forever, he's not worried about Kubra right now. He's looking to take the shots onto Lazi. Brian is now here. He's going to take a bunch of burst damage and get out of dodge. Solid job there from Lazi to use whatever he had onto him to maybe make him think twice about trying to dive him.
Yeah, definitely this game is very, very scrappy between the two, but for having such a gold lead and having a 10-3 Yone and a 10-1 Ezreal, it's going pretty evenly between the two if they don't get caught out. Oh. The Sejuani ulti going off wide. Maybe you're taunting.
Oh, don't do that to him.
Oh, not going to be good on that mental there. Yeah, University of Toronto Mississauga just having complete vision. It's looking like they're going to start the Baron now.
Yeah, they're going pretty
Clair
quick.
They just blue warded it.
And this is actually rather rough. Active Force uses his ult already, so no AoE stuns in this situation, but we're going to be going in. Lazi all the way up top. He's got to try and run away from 3 members. This isn't going to go over well. Forever going to take care of him instantly. As soon as Cooper tries to jump onto Forever, he's instantly picked up by Explosion Axe, put into the bush, and left to die. And now the rest of St. Clair forced to try and run away. Walls trying to keep his team alive, but Active Force is going to be the 3rd casualty here in this fight. Baron will be probably short to follow, and I would imagine we'll see an inhibitor go down very shortly too.
Yeah, and that's just a really bad fight and a really good... Oh, it looks like the Gragas isn't done yet. Trying to keep them as long as he can, but the wall just stopping him. Yeah, they're not going to get much here.
Bryce has no mana though, so he can actually just keep playing around. Braum isn't going to burst you, so just keep them at bay, take this Baron like it's nobody's business. And I mean, Brian's already here on the inhibitor. He's just going to take this himself.
And you called it. The free inhib for the squad wearing purple now.
Yeah, this will be tough to blast through here. We see that gold lead getting bigger and bigger. We see some massive scores here on the side of Toronto Mississauga as well. Of course, the 11 kills, 7 assists on Forever. And then Brian's right there as well with 10 kills, 3 deaths, and 13 assists. There's just so many assists across this entire board. The fact that this University of Toronto Mississauga squad are all getting involved in each other's kills, it feels like they're all getting a piece of it. And by that, they're getting further and further ahead here in the situation. Like Lazi, a lot of the damage is in his hands in this situation, but he's still so frail. He has to play it absolutely perfectly, and we saw in that last fight, Red Eclipse, Marcelesny, Brian, Forever, everybody dove him. Like, there's only so much kiting you can do before you get booped by the Udyr or knocked away by the barrels of Red Eclipse. I don't care how good you are. You either need some god-level peeling, or you're toast.
Yeah, and that was really good positioning by University of Toronto Mississauga, catching out Lazi with the Gragas barrel there, I believe, into the set combos. He just, no matter what he did, the heal ulti, he just could not get out of it. It looks like they may have actually caught out Brian here. Lazi going in with the Kai'Sa ulti. Brian's guaranteed to go back to where he began. That's going to be a... Oh, maybe not. The Gragas TP coming in, catching it. It may actually just be Lazi getting caught out here. Unless Gragas gets kite out, it's going to be Gragas trading the life for Yone, while the base of St. Clair is actually just being trampled as the Gragas just tanks up all their time.
Gosh, look how long that took.
tier 2 tower going down. And that's just a dead gator again. Not a fun game. That's going to be game 1, potentially going over to the side of University.
It'd have to be a miracle. One more time. Forever's actually down. That's a huge kill.
Lassie. It's going to be actually holding on.
Can they somehow plow through everything right here, right now? I feel like this is their only opportunity.
That is huge for Lassie, getting a triple kill onto them. A 700 gold bounty on the Ezreal. This is huge. This Kaisa is beginning to actually become a problem for them. I don't know if University of Toronto Mississauga can hang on.
Kind of sad that I'm sure one person was supposed to probably stay back, but it's kind of sad to see that all of St. Clair just completely retreated in this situation. Like, there's still targets that they can go for here to try and get back in this game. I'm looking up at the tower kill count. I didn't even recognize this until just now. The 10 towers down compared to the 1 from St. Clair. Like, they could have easily knocked down some of these tier 1s or something, at least get themselves back in the game. But just opted to go back and farm their own camps, I guess. Now everybody else is back up here on the side of University of Toronto Mississauga, and you could basically just teleport into the Saints base and kill it off at this point. There is a ward there too, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a backdoor play.
Yeah, and I think the only person who can really pull it off is that Udyr or Ezreal, but with the Gragas using that TP to save Brian's life top lane and almost giving over that 400 gold or a 700 gold minor stake to Lassie, which would have put him ahead so much. And he's already a full item Kaisa now with those kills. I mean, he's 2 items above this Ezreal, and he's just destroying health bars.
Yeah, that was one combo, half health on the Brian.
Yeah, just being 10,000 gold down, this game is almost dead even still. But Baron probably spawning within the next 2 minutes. Drake spawning as well. This is definitely going to be a deciding moment. That 4th Drake for side of University of Toronto Mississauga.
There is going to have to be some incredible decision making here on the side of St. Clair, because there is going to be way too much to have to deal with, and it's going to split themselves so thin that it's going to be almost unbearable, I feel like. With the Nexus as open as it is, you can't leave it blank. You can't leave just a tank, or you can't even just leave Frez back there to wave clear, because then all of a sudden Brian just runs in, takes him out, and then takes out the Nexus. Like, Baron's going to be up sometime soon. Dragon, Soul Point, right around the corner. There's way too much they have to deal with and not enough people to deal with it. And they're going to try and make it so it's just going to be Frez back here. And I don't think this is going to go in his favor at all. This is exactly what I was worried about. Brian just making that look easy.
Get caught out here, but Brian gets away.
So yeah,
that's going to be actually a huge thing for Frez to lose. His flash and Zanya's. It's going to be down for the next minute and a half, probably. And with Drag coming up, they actually may catch Red Eclipse out here. And Lassie's just shredding through them, but the barrel catching Lassie. Lassie may just be cut out of position here. And that's going to be Lassie going down.
That's got to be it right there, but still going to keep on fighting forward.
He's in the middle. He's doing some damage. He actually may be able to do something here, catching everyone, but the Forever is just not be able to do anything.
As we throw it back to us, unfortunately, something about this patch, when the game ends, it just completely freezes the game. So, unfortunately, we won't necessarily get to see how it concluded. But while that entire fight was happening, Frez was stuck with Brian again in the base. And I was looking at the health bars real quick. Once again, Frez was down to just like that much, so I can assume what happens. Granted, even if Brian and Frez went even, they took each other out, it still would have been pretty much game at that point. That team fight did not go in the favor of St. Clair down by the Dragon. That's kind of what they needed to do. They needed to keep Lassie as safe as possible. You saw he ulted in, he had that massive shield, but it did not matter. Everybody focused in, turned on him, and just absolutely crushed him, no matter what the tank line of St. Clair tried to do. And
yeah,
that's going to put the University of Toronto Mississauga up in the lead for game number 1. But of course, best of 3 action. What do we need to see adjust here going into game 2, Matt?
You know, I think it was, even though the University of Toronto Mississauga had a lead, I believe that it was almost dead even in these fights. They had such a big lead, but the comp wise, you just had the Gragas catching out Kaisa with these crazy barrels and following up with a set combo. The Kaisa just couldn't do anything. Lazi just gets caught out every single fight, no matter how much damage he puts in. It's just really you have to base a comp around Lazi if you're going to, and have not maybe a Renekton in the top lane, in because that really wasn't working out for Kuber 3 there. He was getting almost dumpstered by the Udyr and Gragas, so
Yeah,
may have to throw that Gragas ban out.
he had a really rough time in that top lane. Just like you're saying, the Udyr, Marcelesne just basically knocked on the door of top lane a couple times, and then all of a sudden, Cooper is down 2 levels to the Gragas, and what was his tag? Red Eclipse, that's what it was. He just absolutely took it from there. He had some stellar plays while in the team fights as well. That 4-player knock-up via the flash body slam that we saw earlier was definitely a turning point as well from what could have been a fight that Lazi might have been able to carry damage-wise. That just got completely shut down. But with that, do you have any final thoughts in regards to game number 1 before we quickly throw it to break before game 2?
I think University of Toronto Mississauga definitely played. They came into today playing their game. They played it really well, and I think that if St. Clair want to come back, they're going to have to play just as aggressive as they were and pick those champions that they can get onto the back line and maybe target the ADC and top laner for bans there. But definitely a thrilling series so far.
Yeah, much closer than I was expecting, and I'm not complaining in the slightest. Seeing the ranks of that Toronto Mississauga squad had me worried, but they're definitely putting on a show, and it's not stopping now. We're going to take ourselves a quick 5-minute break to get the next lobby going, but don't go anywhere. Game 2 between the University of Toronto Mississauga and St. Clair College for this cLoL Week 2 action right around the corner. Don't go anywhere.